Welcome to the show. You know where you are. Expert Talk with me, Tigo. And you know what I love to do. I love to do like my mom used to love making great dinners on Sunday. I love bringing experts to the show that can talk about things that some of us are thinking about and some things that some of us should be thinking about. How to grow our business, how to start our business. Where do we go from here? Tigo, help me, help me. That's why we bring in the experts. And today is no different. Today is no different. We've got Rocky Buckley in the room. Yeah, he's got a cool name. I want to go see him box, I think, with that name. Are you hearing the theme music? I sure am. But Rocky's going to come in and talk to us about the power of persona. He's going to talk to us about being on that platinum path. He's going to talk to us about getting out of our comfort zone. So sit right there. We'll be right back.
Expert Talk is brought to you in part by PodNation TV, the podcast to broadcast network.
Expert Talk is produced and distributed by Melrose 11 LLC. Lights, cameras, take action with Melrose 11.
Welcome to the show.
All right. Hey, Tigo. I'm thinking of changing my nickname to Argo.
Let's go, man.
Ready to go. I'm not from Chicago, but, I'll have to do something like that about New Jersey.
About New Jersey. Yeah. Okay. But you should visit Chicago sometime. Cool people back home in Chicago. But I'm going to get your butt out here to come to Las Vegas because we're about to open up our studios again. So I need you to come on over on this side and hang out.
I've never been to Vegas. I can't wait to get out there.
Oh, that's going to be so much fun. Before I even get started though, dude, Rocky, is it your name? Is it a nickname? Where did Rocky come from?
It's a nickname. I was called that from the time that I was born pretty much. And the origin of the nickname varies. I've heard a bunch of different stories and who knows what the real truth is. So I had a big chest when I was a baby. So my dad thought I was strong, supposedly.
Okay.
He had another friend whose name was Rocco. And then like the stories, it's like, who knows? But I've always been called that.
So you're not named after the Rocky movies and you were never a championship boxer because that's what's in my mind.
Just between you and me, I'm a little older than the Rocky movies. I was already.
You are not. You are but a baby.
Came out 10 years before Sly.
You are but a baby. We had a conversation the other day. Usually I talk with people before they come on the show, and you were gracious enough to come and hang out with me for a few minutes. And then you invited me into your group, and I've been hanging out in there. And I said, and we're going to get into that. So you guys hold on. You're going to find out about the group. He's going to tell you, just hold on a second, okay? So we're going to get into that. But I was shocked that you're actually talking to people like every day. You're not just dropping in a video and saying, leave your information below and somebody will get back to you. You're actually in there. How important is, being in person, being in touch with your community? How important is that?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking specifically about a Facebook group, just so everybody understands. But I mean, I had some good advice early on. And really good people who have built successful businesses through building a community. Mm-hmm. And the advice was, in that first year especially, you really want to be very, very hands-on and build that culture, build that community, the personal touch. And I've always been that way offline as well. I mean, I've always been a relationships and network sort of guy, and I've just extended a lot of what I did offline into the online world. So I basically carry the same sort of values over into that. But I know that if you don't engage with people, you're going to basically have a dead community. And I'm really all about culture, and I'm about family, and I'm all about building something for the long term. And I don't think if you're playing the long game that you can cut short on that or take shortcuts. you know.
You touched on something just now. You said networking. And right now, I mean, they may be watching this in 2045, but right now it's 2021 and we're coming through COVID. I hate to say COVID's over because who knows, but we are coming through it. How important is getting back out there in person and getting back into networking in person? Do you think that's important or can we just stick with virtual?
I personally, I mean, again, it's funny. I've actually surveyed a lot of people who are online entrepreneurs about, do they do any local business or any meetups or anything like that? And most of them are like, no, I'm an introvert and I love being behind my computer. And I'm like, I come from the world before the internet. And, yeah, and I kind of started in business around the time that the internet was taking off. And I so highly value the human touch, personal relationships, face to face, breaking bread with people. And I don't see that extending to people who only do business online. I think there's huge gaps that they're missing that they don't know that they're missing. Because when
Hmm.
you can build a personal relationship with somebody face to face, people know this who go to conferences and stuff like that, the stuff that goes on at the bar after the, right?
Yep,
That's where
yep.
all the deals are made. That's where all the friendships are made and the collaborations and partnerships. There's no substitute for that. You can't do that on Zoom,
Yeah,
not
that's where you
nearly
make
as well.
friendships for life
Yeah,
is
so I
the
I
after
really
party.
believe in it. I'm very excited about getting back out there. A lot of the future way that I'm building my business is going to be around masterminds, memberships, live events. So I'm integrating that fully into everything I'm doing going forward. So, but at the
You
same time, you've got to
mentioned,
be able to operate in this world too. But you
yeah,
know,
definitely. I think it's going to be a hybrid life for the rest of our lives.
I do
And,
too.
we're going to do some of it virtually, some of it live. And I think we're going to be more picky about the live things that we do because it does cost a lot more. It takes more of your time. If you want to do even a 1 day conference in Las Vegas, you're not flying in that morning and flying out that night. You're coming in at least the day before, staying until at least the day after, and you got to block out that time. So I think we're going to be
Absolutely.
more strategic about
Hmm.
what we pick because we feel like, this one I can do virtual.
Yeah.
This one I got to be there in person.
Yeah.
So at least that's what I see myself doing. And I'm really enjoying this virtual thing because I'm a super geek that likes being behind the computers and coding in a U, usually.
You're also a people person, and like I find that even doing a Zoom call like we did prior to this interview, I think we connected very quickly, and it was like we feel like we know each other, right? It's
Yep,
pretty
he's my brother in
fast.
New Jersey. Don't mess
Yeah,
with
and
him.
it's like I think that's something that's super important for people to do as well. I mean, people who just comment back and forth and they never really face to face, even like this,
Hmm.
connect with people, have a real conversation, really get to know the human being behind it.
Hmm.
When you have the opportunity to connect with people in this sort of a way, it carries over and it
Yeah,
can extend into a long-term friendship. And
yeah,
that's
I
where
believe
I guess
that
I
too.
think like a long-term guy.
Yeah,
So
I believe that too. And I'm trying to
yeah.
tell my grandson that he's 14. Well, he's 50. He just turned 15 on Monday. And I'm trying to tell him, it is not a relationship if all you guys do is text
Yep.
because you can't even really read emotion through text,
Right.
and he just doesn't get it. 10 seconds he's texting he's going to have arthritis in his thumbs by the
Hmm.
time he's 30 and he
Right.
doesn't understand. It's like, dude, you got to get past this, but I'll keep working on him. He's 15 going on 40,
Yep.
so
Yep.
I'll
I
get
got
in his
three.
face.
I've got a 13, a 16, and a 19. So we're all in the
Ooh,
same.
ooh, you got
So,
vitamins in your house, I hope, because that
yeah.
just sounds
Well,
stressful.
but relationships, we've always pushed relationships. Build those relationships.
That's amazing. So you are an entrepreneur, you're a coach, you're a consultant. What do you coach? What are you a consultant for?
Sure. I work with experts, thought leaders, influencers, people who basically make their living off of their knowledge, their expertise.
Hmm.
So they take different modalities. Some people are authors, speakers, course creators. They're coaches and consultants themselves, but basically anybody who has high value knowledge, high value expertise, they can create transformations in people's lives, their business, relationships, health, in those high value areas. Those are the people that I kind of specialize working with. I have a real heart for people who feel that they have wasted their potential or are in risk of wasting their potential. And I love to find sort of gifted, talented people that I call undiscovered stars and really help them unlock their potential and really become that leader, public figure, superstar type of person that they always suspected that they were going to become. They always thought, when I, grow up, I'm going to be famous, I'm going to be somebody, I'm going to make a difference
Right.
in the world. And if you're a person that kind of had that in your mind, and you really are, you're talented. You step into a room, you light that room up. You're a natural leader. You've got charisma, talent, and expertise. I mean, that's the kind of person that I love to work with and help.
So how important is it? Because a lot of people I find, back in the day when I was a sales director, way back when, the hardest door get them through was their own car door, their own house door, their bedroom door, to get them out there. It wasn't once they got there and got in front of people and started just being them and having the conversations, they understood what was going on, but they would stop themselves. Do you run into that with the expert level that you're working with, that they're still kind of holding themselves back?
Oh, sure. No, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the imposter syndrome is one of the classic, things that cripples people in this industry for sure. And, where does it come from? I mean, we can argue about where it comes from. Maybe is it other people's, what they've told you, you're not good enough or whatever it might be, but we all carry that. And people at the very highest level still struggle with that too. It's not uncommon at all. So yeah, imposter syndrome certainly is one of those things, but also what I find the biggest problem is really lack of clarity. I don't think
Ooh,
people have done enough deep work on themselves to be clear on what they really want and who they really want to be in the world. And there's confusion, and when there's confusion, there's paralysis. And that's what I really think the deep work gets done, that liberates people. When you get crystal clear on who you are, who you want to be ultimately, what's the peak version of yourself?
right.
When you can see that in your mind and you can describe it, then you can reverse engineer it and consciously design yourself to be that person. And that's where I think the power is.
So how do you get clear? I mean, if they don't have a Rocky in their lives, and yeah, we're going to talk about it. Don't worry, we're going to tell you how to get in touch with them later. But just in case, if they don't have a Rocky in their lives and they're going, okay, you're probably right. The person I know least is myself. How do they get started? Just kind of getting to know themselves and getting
Yeah,
clear.
I think the first step is simply to, put something in the calendar to actually do some of this work. So schedule some time away,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's 4 hours one night going to Barnes and Noble or Starbucks with a notebook, or a weekend away somewhere, right? Or longer than that, right? I take multi-week retreats several times a year to kind of
Wow.
do inner work and do business strategy and stuff like that. But I think you've got to have a measure of self-reflection to be able to think about that. You've got to get clear of all of the distractions in life and get some solitude, get some silence, get a chance to think, just be with yourself, right? And start kind of going through that process. What do I want my life to look like across the board in all facets, right? I think you've got to get clear on your life, crystal clear on your life. Then your business is a subset of your life. Your business
Right.
has to fit in the life vision that you have. So you can't create this business vision where, I'm going to be an 8-figure entrepreneur managing this huge team and I'm speaking all around the world. But at the same time, I want to homeschool my children and be with my family all. Like, you've got to get clear on how the pieces fit together holistically, figure out your ideal life, and then go, okay, what kind of business fits into that? Because that's going to inform your business model.
Definitely.
Once you get clear on the life, then the business model, now you start going, who do I have to be to execute that? And then it's getting really clear. If you are somebody who's like a solo expert, solo entrepreneur, you're the face of your business. It requires you to be a public figure, a niche celebrity, so to speak. You've got to start getting clear on yourself and who is that public persona that you need to create. And it's not something inauthentic, but it's like, how do I put the best version of myself forward for the public, right? And
Exactly.
it's not necessarily just you, the real you. There's going to be pieces of yourself you're going to want to exaggerate a little bit, bring out more, and other pieces you're going to want to say, I'm going to hold those back for my private life, right? So there's a whole process you would go through to become very strategic about how to do that, how to position yourself properly, and then how to execute a business strategy
You
based on that.
touched on something for a second there. You said, that you actually go on retreat yourself. So
Oh
this
yeah.
isn't something like an instant pill. You do it once, you figured out your whole life. You look back when you're 95 and go, yep, I did it. This is something that you have to do on a continuous basis because you're constantly growing and you're constantly changing, and even your life changes. I mean, we just had another grandson come into the world 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So that changed our lives. So it's important to keep growing, correct?
Absolutely. You've got to integrate all these things. And also, as you go away, let's say on some kind of a retreat, you make some plans, you come
Hmm.
back and you start executing on those plans. You're going to get feedback from the real world. And it's going to be some things you thought were going to be easy, that were going to work well. Suddenly you start discovering, I didn't know what I didn't know. And now you've got to start recalibrating some of your expectations, or maybe change it. Or I thought I was going to like that. I
Hmm.
started a Facebook group. I thought I was going to like it, and I really hate it. So, you're going to have to keep updating and changing and adapting to the real world feedback that you get.
You mentioned that you've been an entrepreneur for a couple of years, for a minute or two. You've been at it for a
Yeah.
minute, but you didn't start there. You didn't start there. You shared with me you actually went to film school.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
made you decide to venture past, you should be over with Spielberg creating the next Jaws or something. What made you go
Yeah.
from there to being this great coach and consultant and entrepreneur?
Well, it's kind of a complicated story. I mean, first of all, I've always had this sense of being a public figure in some way. Originally, when I was growing up, baseball was my number one love,
Mm,
and I wanted to be a baseball player. And so I had the dream of being a professional athlete and using being a pro athlete as a platform. Even back then I was thinking about platforms and how to be a role model and make a difference in people's lives.
oh, that's
But
awesome.
around 18, I really kind of had a bit of a spiritual awakening, and my life really shifted at that point at age 18, and I was already kind of writing screenplays, and I was thinking about going to Hollywood and acting, and then eventually I wrote a screenplay and I wanted to direct it and all of that. And I started getting immersed in the film world. And in my early 20s, I really kind of had a decision to make. Did I want to
Okay.
really pursue my spiritual life and in ministry and things like that? People that I saw needed help right in front of me. There was an urgent need that I saw, and it kind of
Hmm.
felt a little selfish, like, but you're going to go and make movies, and that you may never impact anybody at the way you could if you just did it right now, hands on with people. And I kind of had this fork in the road as a young guy, and I decided, you know what, I'm going to go the ministry route. And I
Wow.
spent a lot of time um, growing in that area. I quickly rose up in the ranks of ministry leadership as a young guy, and I immersed myself in that world, helping people to grow, crying with people, and loving people, and helping them to mature and so on, and change their lives. So even though I went to film school, I had that fork in the road, and I decided to put it down. And
Wow.
I still I still to this day kind of wonder, was that the right move? But I've never lost my love for it. My son is now picking up the mantle. He's 16. He's making a second feature film. He's going to be raising money for it coming up.
See?
So I've been able to transfer my stuff to him and give him a head start. And again, I look forward to maybe stepping in as an executive producer at some point and really being in the film world. But that was
That's
kind of the
awesome.
fork in the road moment for me, that I decided to help the people that were right in front of me, rather than try to do it indirectly through inspiring films. So
And I mean, you're still using it, especially nowadays. You can't do anything without video. If you're not using video for your business, you're kind of getting left behind.
well,
So
it's been
you
fun to come
understand that
back, and
value.
yeah, it's been fun to come back in that world. I mean, if you actually look behind me, I've got a number of different video background sets that I've constructed in my house. We use these as for making videos and stuff like that. So it's been fun, and my son has been by my side the whole way. So
Yeah.
it's
You
it's been
see, now
great
you're just
father
showing
son
off.
stuff. I'm sorry.
Now you're just showing off.
Yeah, I
So
got to show
before
you
we
the
go to
boy off.
break, I got to ask you, you mentioned your son, he's 16, he's going into filmmaking, the second film. As your kids are growing up, are you thinking, don't go corporate way, figure out your entrepreneurial way, or are you kind of letting them find their own way?
All three of my kids are creatives. My son is entrepreneurial. He's a shark. He's been like that since he was 7 years old. He's you know he's pretty slick. But my two daughters, they're creatives. They're musical. They write, they draw, they paint. So we've always we homeschooled our kids the whole way through,
Ah,
and
okay.
we've always focused on finding those things that they're really most passionate about and pouring into those things. So we don't ultimately care what they do really, other than that they really love it. They're going to be great at it, and it's something long term that they can really be successful at, and have a great life doing. And
That's
that can get
amazing.
complicated. Our definitions of a great life can be different than what
Yeah,
our kids are,
yeah.
but you know, yeah.
As
So
long as they're not on your couch at 40, it should be okay.
yeah, but we haven't pushed entrepreneurial at all.
Okay.
It just seems to happen naturally. Yeah.
All right, well, we got to take a break. And then when we come back, we're going to talk with Rocky because he's helped over 3,000 clients with projects. I mean, over 3,000 projects. And he's worked with billion-dollar clients and people like you and me. So we're going to talk about that when we get back. So sit right there. We'll be right back.
Expert Talk is brought to you in part by PodNation TV, the podcast to broadcast network.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. We're talking with Rocky. Yeah, not the boxer. Dang it, I just thought sure he was a boxer, but not the boxer. He was a filmmaker though. He did go to film school. There it is. So we're going to talk with Rocky about, what does it mean to, reinventing to a high price lifestyle? What does that mean, Rocky? What are you talking about?
Sure. Well, it's to a high price business model,
Yeah.
particularly because there's a lot of people that are undercharging. There's a lot of experts, entrepreneurs, coach, consultant sort of people, even authors and experts who, they're basically speaking on stage and et cetera. And a lot of times they don't have the confidence in what they're doing to charge high prices. And a lot of times, pricing, it can be this like magic number that transforms your business. If you can significantly raise your prices, you don't have to work as much, right? You can be more selective about the clients you take on. It has this whole ripple effect throughout your whole life and your lifestyle, et cetera, when you can charge more and work less. Okay. So there's a strategy for how to go from sort of pricing yourself either at the low end of the spectrum or in the middle of the road where most people are positioned, and break up to that top tier, that top like 1% of your market, and really charge the prices up there as the top expert in that space or one of the top people in that space. And
Okay.
yeah, I help people to reinvent their expertise. A lot of times we're sitting on knowledge, very high value knowledge, very high value expertise that if it were reimagined, if it were repositioned in a different way, a person could charge 10 times more than they're currently charging. But you've got to be able to look for those areas where the opportunities are to do that. So often a person has to go through a deep dive process of kind of figuring out, what am I really good at? What are my assets? How can I differentiate and position myself in a new way? How can I maybe solve bigger problems, more major, more urgent problems that people are willing to pay a lot of money to fix? So there's a process to go through to make that shift. And some people really can make it, some people can't, but a lot of people, more people than you would think, can very quickly reposition themselves as a high priced expert.
And is that what you mean by the platinum path?
Yes. Yeah. The
Is
Platinum
that what
Path
that
is
is?
my flagship program that I take people through to go
Okay.
through that and create a high priced business model market and sell in that sort of a model.
And you've helped, clients generate over $100 million with
Mhm.
their programs and their services.
Yeah, yeah. hmm Yeah, I
That's
mean,
amazing.
a lot of that is the very big billion-dollar brands that I've worked with, companies like Wiley, Pearson Education, Macmillan. I was in that space. I was in academic, educational,
Hmm.
organizational sort of space for a long time, working with a lot of authors and experts, creating training programs, products, curricula, online and offline. So I've been in that world for a really long time. I've worn all the hats. I've authored stuff myself. I've, taken people through those very, million-dollar projects and stuff like that. So I've kind of seen it all and done it all when it comes to working with experts, authors, um, thought leaders, people like that.
So in our company, we talk about right fit client. Who's our right fit client? And when we're talking to our clients, we're asking them, who's your right fit client? So who is your right fit client?
My right fit client is somebody who is already successful at a certain level. So they may have cracked the six-figure mark, but they're sort of stuck between 100 and 250K.
Hmm.
Their business, and they know that they're capable of being a seven-figure, eight-figure sort of person. They're gifted, they're talented, they're charismatic. They've been told that their whole life, and they feel that they've fallen short of what they're capable of. And they
Hmm.
don't necessarily even love what they do anymore. They would love to reinvent themselves in a fresh way and really step out and become sort of that public figure, star, celebrity sort of person that they haven't been yet. They want to break out. They want to become a star. And, and they want to do it for the right reasons. They want to impact lives. They want to make
Right.
a lot of money, have a great life, have a great lifestyle. But at the same time, it's about impact and legacy for that sort of person. They're really about, how are people going to look back at their life and remember them? If you think about legacy and you think about, why am I here? Why was I put on earth? That's the kind of person that I think I resonate with.
I can totally understand it. I know there are people out there right now looking at this going, Rocky, you're talking to me. You're talking to me. How would they get in touch with you?
The best way to hang out with me is go to my private Facebook group, which is at powerpersonaproject.com. It's a free group. You can just jump into our community. You can interact with me in there all day long. As Tigo said, I'm in there a lot. I'm hands-on. I'm interacting with people.
I'm
We're
having a
putting out
blast
great
in there.
content. We're putting out interviews like this with people like Shark Tank's Kevin Harrington, Stu McLaren, Bob Berg, very big names. And those people are in there, and well, they're not members of Kevin Harrington is not a member of my group, but I've interviewed those people. And it's a great community. And inside of there, you can learn how to work with me further in our memberships and masterminds.
Is there a cost to this group
Nope,
or what do
it's
they have to
absolutely free.
do?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is free. The other
So
stuff,
they just go and
the other stuff
find the,
isn't
the
free
power
later.
persona?
Powerpersonaproject.com. Yep.
That is fantastic. So what's next for you? I mean, we're coming through COVID. It's 2021. What's next in the next 6 months? What's next in the next 10 years? What's your big plan?
Yeah, the next 6 months is going to be the release of a paid membership group, another Power Persona Project paid community. So there's going to be a very in-depth membership site that's affordable for everyone. Out of
Awesome.
that is going to come my Platinum Path 2.0 mastermind, which is going to be a high-end mastermind that takes people through that high-priced journey that we discussed. And those are the big things. And then from there, who knows? There's larger ambitions beyond that, but let's get these ones in place first, and then we'll take
Well,
it from there.
I want to thank you for coming on and hanging out with us. And yep, just go find him on Facebook under the Power Persona Project. Heck, you'll find me there because I hang out there quite a bit. It's one of the few groups that I actually check in on all the time. And I probably belong to 100, but this is one that I actually go to. You're an amazing man. I know that coming up in the next few years, I'm going to see your name as an executive producer for one of your son's projects. I feel it in my bones.
It's happening. It's
It's
happening.
happening. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're my brother from New Jersey. You're stuck with me now. I'm so glad that we met, and
Yeah, me
I
too.
have fun thoughts in my mind of what's coming down the road now that we can travel. Maybe you can come to Vegas. We're gonna do some stuff together. Thank you,
All
Rocky,
right.
for being on. You're great.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching the show. I hope you got a lot out of what we talked about today. And you know, I always say this all the time. We stop ourselves, me too. You know, I tell myself all the time, I can't do that. They're not talking to me. I can never be that big. I'm just Tigo. I do it all the time. And then I get connected to great people like Rocky that goes, you're stopping yourself. So make sure you guys check out the Facebook group, Power Persona Project. You'll catch me in there a lot. I go check it out all the time. I thank you for watching the show. I hope you'll be watching the next one. And as always, I'm Tigo, and I'll talk to you next time.